Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 12 motorcycles that are overpriced for what you get. Number 12, Royal Enfield Continental GT650. The Royal Enfield Continental GT650 looks like a retro cafe racer that should be great value, but in reality it carries a price tag of around $7,000, making it overpriced for what it delivers. On paper it appears attractive for riders who want vintage styling at a lower cost than premium brands, yet when you compare its actual performance, refinement, and ownership costs, it falls short. The build feels basic, and while the design draws attention, the bike's fit and finish do not match what you would expect at this price point in today's competitive market. Its 650 parallel twin engine makes about 47 horsepower, which is fine for casual rides, but underwhelming for a motorcycle this size and weight. The power delivery is smooth but far from exciting, especially when some rivals in the same price range deliver more advanced technology, stronger acceleration, and better suspension. In terms of longevity, with good maintenance, the Continental GT650 can last up to 35,000 to 40,000 miles before major work is likely needed. However, the bike's resale value tends to drop quickly in the used market, often losing a few $1,000s within the first couple of years, which makes its upfront cost harder to justify. Overall, while the Royal Enfield Continental GT650 has the look and charm that draws in enthusiasts, it doesn't deliver enough in performance, features, or long-term value to make its price tag reasonable. Number 11, Triumph Bonville Bobber. The Triumph Bonville Bobber grabs attention with its stripped-down custom look, but with a starting price of around $13,000, it ends up costing far more than what its performance and equipment justify. It is marketed as a premium modern classic, yet a closer look shows that much of the cost goes toward styling and brand image rather than actual capability or advanced features. Powered by a 1,120cc parallel twin engine, it delivers about 77 horsepower. While the torque is strong and the engine note is satisfying, the overall performance feels more about relaxed cruising than spirited riding. For a bike in this price range, you would expect more versatility, lighter weight, and sharper handling, but the Bonneville Bobber tips the scales at well over 500 pounds. This weight, paired with its limited suspension travel, makes it less comfortable and nimble on longer rides or rougher roads. In terms of durability, a well-maintained Bonneville Bobber can last up to 50,000 miles before major mechanical issues might surface. However, Triumph's parts and service in the US are not cheap, and ownership costs can rise quickly. While the Triumph Bonneville Bobber offers undeniable visual appeal and an enjoyable low-end torque experience, its high price, limited practicality, and heavy weight make it hard to justify for riders looking for strong all-around value. Number 10, Harley-Davidson Nightster. The Harley-Davidson Nightster enters the market with a price starting around $12,000, positioning itself as a modern middleweight cruiser. At first glance, it seems like a fresh take on Harley's classic styling, but when you weigh what you actually get for the cost, the value doesn't quite add up. Much of its price is tied to the Harley name and styling cues, while in terms of features and ride quality, there are competing bikes that offer more for less. Its 975cc liquid-cooled Revolution Max engine produces around 90 horsepower, which is respectable for the class. However, despite this output, the bike's real-world performance feels held back by its weight of over 460 pounds and a riding position that can become tiring on longer trips. The suspension setup is basic for the price point, and the ride can feel harsh over uneven pavement, which is disappointing for a cruiser aimed at comfort and style. When maintained properly, the Nightster can last 45,000 to 50,000 miles before significant repairs may be needed. That said, Harley-Davidson service and parts costs in the US are high, and you can expect to pay more for upkeep compared to many similar models. In the end, the Harley-Davidson Nightster delivers the brand's distinctive character and a decent amount of performance. But the steep price, average suspension, and higher running costs make it less compelling for buyers looking for the best return on their money. Number 9, BMW R18. The BMW R18 is positioned as a premium cruiser with a starting price of around $16,000, and at first glance, it seems like a bold entry from BMW into Harley-Davidson territory. While it certainly has an imposing presence and a massive engine, the price tag is hard to justify when you look at what you actually get in terms of comfort, features, and real-world usability. Its 1800cc boxer twin engine produces 91 horsepower and a hefty 116 pound-feet of torque. The power delivery is strong, but the bike's weight of over 760 pounds makes it less agile and more of a handful in city riding. For a price north of $16,000, it's disappointing that advanced rider aids and suspension adjustability are limited compared to other premium options in the same bracket. With proper care, the BMW R18 can last 60,000 miles or more before major mechanical issues arise. However, BMW parts and service in the US are expensive, and annual maintenance can quickly run into the high hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Overall, the BMW R18 is a striking motorcycle that stands out visually, but the combination of high weight, limited practicality, and steep ownership costs makes it overpriced for what it offers. Number 8. Royal Enfield Shotgun 650. The Royal Enfield Shotgun 650 is marketed as a stylish cruiser with custom-inspired lines, priced at around $7,000. While it catches the eye with its low-slung profile and retro-modern appeal, the cost feels steep when you compare it to what you actually get in performance, features, and finish. Much like other Royal Enfield models in this range, the value proposition leans heavily on style rather than overall capability. Its 650 parallel twin engine makes about 47 horsepower and 52 pound-feet of torque. While smooth and adequate for relaxed cruising, the performance is modest, especially given the bike's curb weight of over 460 pounds. Acceleration is not particularly engaging, and the suspension setup is fairly basic, which becomes evident when riding over rough roads. For a machine in the $7,000 range, more refined components and better braking feel would be expected. With proper upkeep, the Shotgun 650 can last around 35,000 to 40,000 miles before major work may be required. However, depreciation is a concern, as resale values tend to drop a few $1,000s within the first couple of years. In the end, the Royal Enfield Shotgun 650 is a visually appealing motorcycle that serves riders who prioritize looks and laid-back riding. But in terms of performance, technology, and resale strength, it doesn't fully justify its price in the US market. Number 7. Kawasaki W800. The Kawasaki W800 aims to capture the charm of classic British motorcycles, but with a starting price of around $10,000, it ends up costing more than it should for what's included. The styling is spot-on for retro enthusiasts, yet the bike's overall performance and equipment fall short compared to other options in this price range. A lot of what you're paying for is the vintage look, not necessarily modern capability or technology. Its 773cc parallel twin engine produces around 47 horsepower and 44 pound-feet of torque, which is modest for a motorcycle priced at 5 figures. The power is smooth and predictable, but far from exciting, and the bike's weight of over 475 pounds makes it feel heavier than its competitors in the middleweight class. The suspension is basic, and the brakes are functional but lack the strong bite expected at this price level. When maintained correctly, the W800 can last around 45,000 miles before significant repairs are needed. However, depreciation is a real factor, as resale prices in the US drop quickly, often losing several $1,000s within the first few years. Overall, the Kawasaki W800 is a solid-looking retro bike that delivers a comfortable and easygoing ride. But its high price, modest performance, and quick depreciation make it less appealing for value-conscious buyers. Number 6 is Suzuki Boulevard M109R. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R is built to be a power cruiser with aggressive styling, but its starting price of around $15,000 makes it a tough sell once you break down what you're getting. It certainly looks imposing with its wide rear tire and muscular stance, but the cost leans heavily on appearance and raw displacement rather than a balanced mix of performance, comfort, and technology. Its 1,783cc V-twin engine puts out about 128 horsepower and 118 pound-feet of torque, giving it strong straight-line performance. However, the bike's weight of over 760 pounds means it feels heavy to handle in low-speed riding, and cornering is far from sharp. The suspension is tuned for stability, but it can feel harsh on uneven roads, and the braking setup is basic for a motorcycle in this price range. With proper maintenance, the Boulevard M109R can last around 55,000 miles before major repairs are needed. That said, Suzuki's parts for this model aren't as widely stocked in every US dealer compared to their smaller bikes, which can make service less convenient. Depreciation is also steep, with resale prices often dropping several $1,000s in the first couple of years. In short, the Suzuki Boulevard M109R offers brute force and a bold presence, but its high price, heavy handling, and limited versatility make it overpriced for what you get. Number 5. Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S comes in with a starting price of around $16,000, placing it firmly in premium territory. While it is positioned as a modern performance cruiser with updated styling and technology, the price feels high when you evaluate the total package. Much of the cost reflects Harley's brand name and styling appeal rather than unmatched capability or comfort. Its 1,252cc Revolution Max engine produces about 121 horsepower and 94 pound-feet of torque, which gives it strong acceleration. However, the bike's low-slung design and limited suspension travel make it less comfortable on longer rides, especially over rough roads. The riding position also prioritizes style over ergonomics, which can lead to fatigue for some riders. At this price, you might expect fully adjustable suspension and more touring-friendly features, but those are missing. With regular maintenance, the Sportster S can last 50,000 miles before major repairs are likely. However, Harley-Davidson service and parts are among the more expensive in the US market, and the bike's resale value drops a few $1,000s within the first 2 years. This makes long-term ownership more costly than you might expect. Overall, the Harley-Davidson Sportster S delivers impressive power and a bold, modern look. But its high price, limited comfort, and steep upkeep costs make it overpriced for what it offers. Number 4. Indian Scout Bobber. The Indian Scout Bobber is marketed as a stripped-down, aggressive-looking cruiser, starting at around $12,000. It has the visual appeal that attracts many riders, but once you weigh the price against its real-world performance and features, it feels like you're paying more for style than substance. The minimalist design also sacrifices practicality, which can limit its appeal for riders looking for more than just short, casual rides. Its 1,133cc liquid-cooled V-twin engine produces around 100 horsepower, which is solid for its class. The acceleration is satisfying, but the low-slung stance, forward controls, and limited suspension travel make it less comfortable over longer distances or rougher roads. At this price point, you might expect more refined suspension components and a stronger feature set, yet the Scout Bobber keeps things fairly basic. When properly maintained, the Scout Bobber can last around 50,000 miles before major repairs become likely. However, Indian motorcycle service and parts in the US tend to cost more than average, and depreciation is notable, with resale values dropping a few $1,000s within the first couple of years. In short, the Indian Scout Bobber offers strong performance and distinctive styling, but its high price, comfort compromises, and running costs make it overpriced for what you get. Number 3. Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 is a massive power cruiser that starts at around $24,000, putting it deep into the premium segment. Its sheer size and bold styling are designed to impress, but when you break down the cost, much of it goes toward the novelty of owning the world's largest production motorcycle engine rather than balanced, all-around performance. For many riders, that high price is hard to justify, especially if practicality is a factor. Its 2,500cc triple engine produces an enormous 165 horsepower and 163 pound-feet of torque. The acceleration is undeniably impressive, but the bike's weight of over 760 pounds makes it cumbersome in slow-speed riding in urban conditions. Despite its price, it doesn't come loaded with the most advanced suspension or touring features as standard. Many are optional extras that drive the cost even higher. With regular upkeep, the Rocket 3 can last around 60,000 miles before major work may be needed. However, Triumph parts and service in the US are expensive, and labor costs are higher than average due to the bike's size and complexity. Overall, the Triumph Rocket 3 delivers unmatched torque and an imposing road presence, but its extreme price, heavy handling, and high upkeep costs make it an indulgence rather than a sensible buy. Number 2. Harley-Davidson Road Glide. The Harley-Davidson Road Glide is a full-sized touring motorcycle that starts at around $23,000, placing it in the high end of the touring segment. It delivers the classic Harley look and presence, but much of its cost comes from brand prestige rather than offering significantly more than lower-priced competitors. While it has the comfort and highway capability touring riders expect, the value proposition weakens when you factor in price, options, and upkeep. Its 1,752cc Milwaukee 8 engine produces around 90 horsepower and 121 pound-feet of torque. It cruises comfortably at highway speeds, but the bike's weight of over 820 pounds makes it a handful at low speeds and in tight spots. At this price, many riders would expect certain premium features to be standard, such as advanced rider aids and upgraded audio, but these are often optional extras that push the price even higher. When maintained well, the Road Glide can last over 70,000 miles before major repairs are likely. However, Harley-Davidson service and parts are among the most expensive in the US, and regular upkeep can easily reach into the thousands over a few years. Overall, the Harley-Davidson Road Glide delivers long-distance comfort, a commanding presence, and a loyal brand following. But its steep purchase price, costly ownership, and heavy handling make it overpriced for riders seeking the best value. Number 1. Indian Chief. The Indian Chief is positioned as a classic American cruiser with a starting price of around $15,000. It carries strong visual appeal with its minimalist design and traditional stance. But when you compare it to what's offered at this price, it becomes clear that you're paying a premium for styling and brand heritage rather than for unmatched performance or advanced features. Its 1,890cc air-cooled V-twin engine produces about 81 horsepower and 108 pound-feet of torque. While it delivers smooth, predictable power, it's tuned more for relaxed cruising than spirited riding. The bike weighs over 670 pounds, and despite the price tag, the stock suspension and braking components are fairly basic. With proper upkeep, the Indian Chief can last around 60,000 miles before major repairs are needed. Resale values also drop a few $1,000s within the first couple of years, making the investment less appealing if you're considering long-term value. Overall, the Indian Chief offers timeless looks and a smooth ride, but the high purchase price, modest standard equipment, and high upkeep costs make it overpriced for what you get. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.